If you don't beat her by midnight, I'll send the photos to your father. And she wants proof this time. You must make her bleed. Derek Williams stared at the text message on his phone, his hands trembling as he sat in his car outside the luxury townhouse he shared with his wife of 3 months in the upscale Buckhead area of Atlanta. The message had come at 11:47 p.m., 13 minutes before Monday officially ended. 13 minutes to make a choice that would destroy what was left of his soul. Or lose everything he'd spent 10 years building. Inside the townhouse, his wife Jasmine was probably already asleep, exhausted from her shift as a pediatric nurse at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. She was beautiful, kind, intelligent, everything his mother had prayed he'd find in a wife. Their wedding 3 months ago had been perfect. 200 guests, a venue overlooking Stone Mountain, and vows that promised love, honor, and cherish. Vows that didn't mention what he would have to do to her every Monday night. Derek looked at the previous messages in the thread, all from the same blocked number, all containing the same type of demand. Monday reminder, you know what to do, face this time, make sure I can see the damage. Last Monday wasn't enough. She barely had a bruise. Try harder or the photos go public. Your father called me today asking about the wedding. Such a shame if he found out what his golden boy really is. The photos. Always the photos. Derek closed his eyes and remembered the night that had given someone this power over him. A bachelor party in Las Vegas 7 months ago, so 3 weeks before he proposed to Jasmine. His best man had hired strippers. There had been cocaine. And there had been a woman who wasn't a stripper at all, but a setup. He had woken up in a hotel room with no memory of the night, fully clothed but with dozens of explicit photos on his phone showing him in compromising positions with multiple women. Photos that looked real, even though he couldn't remember any of it happening. Photos that would destroy his relationship with his deeply religious father, destroy his reputation as a youth pastor at his father's megachurch, and destroy his engagement to Jasmine. The blackmail had started immediately. At first it was money, $20,000 to keep the photos private. He'd paid. Then it was $50,000 more. He'd emptied his savings. Then came the engagement, and the demands changed. Cancel the wedding or the photos go to your father, your church, and your fiancé. He had begged. He had pleaded. He had offered more money he didn't have. And then the blackmailer, a woman whose voice he'd heard on one distorted phone call but whose face he'd never seen, had made a different offer. I'll let you marry her. I'll let you keep your perfect life. But every Monday night, you hurt her. Not enough to hospitalize her. Not enough to leave permanent damage. Just enough to remind you who really controls your life. Do that, and the photos stay hidden. Refuse, and everyone you love learns the truth about Vegas. Derek had thought it was a sick joke. He had thought he could find another way. Hire a private investigator. Track down whoever was doing this. But 2 weeks before the wedding, a new message had arrived with a photo of his father's house, his mother's car, and Jasmine leaving the hospital where she worked. The message was clear. I know where everyone you love lives. Don't test me. So on the first Monday after their honeymoon, a beautiful week in Jamaica where Jasmine had been radiant with happiness, Derek had come home and started an argument over nothing. When Jasmine had tried to calm him down, tried to understand what was wrong, he had slapped her. The shock in her eyes had nearly killed him. But he had taken the required photo, her face red, her expression devastated, and sent it to the blocked number. The response had been immediate. Good boy. See you next Monday. That was 12 weeks ago. 12 Mondays of manufactured arguments, of calculated violence, of watching the woman he loved slowly break under the weight of a pattern she couldn't understand. And now, with 13 minutes left before Monday ended, he had to do it again. But this time, they wanted blood. Inside the townhouse, Jasmine Williams lay in bed, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. She wasn't asleep. She was waiting, because she knew what day it was. Monday, the day her husband transformed into someone she didn't recognize. At first, she had thought it was stress. Derek worked long hours at his father's megachurch, New Hope Ministries, managing the youth programs and assisting with the church's business operations. The pressure was intense, the expectations enormous. But the pattern was too precise to be stress. Every Monday night, like clockwork, Derek would come home tense and agitated. He would pick a fight over something trivial. Dinner wasn't ready on time. She'd forgotten to call his mother. She'd left a dish in the sink. And then, when she tried to calm him or apologize, he would hit her. Just once. Always just once. A slap across the face. A shove that sent her stumbling into the wall. A grab of her wrist so tight it left bruises. And then, immediately after, he would seem to snap out of it. He would apologize profusely, cry, beg for forgiveness, promise it would never happen again. He would hold her and sob into her hair, saying he didn't know what was wrong with him, that he loved her, that he was seeing a therapist, a lie. She'd checked. The first time, she had believed him. She had told herself it was a one-time thing, that the pressure of marriage and work had gotten to him. The second time, she had been more wary, but she'd still given him the benefit of the doubt. By the 5th Monday, she had known something was very, very wrong. By the 8th Monday, she had started documenting every incident with photos and written records, hiding them in a locked notes app on her phone. And by the 12th Monday, last week, she had hired a private investigator. Because Jasmine wasn't just a nurse. She was the daughter of District Attorney Harold Mitchell, one of the most powerful prosecutors in Atlanta. She had grown up watching her father build cases, gather evidence, and take down criminals who thought they were untouchable. And she knew abuse when she saw it. But she also knew this wasn't normal abuse. Abusers were unpredictable, their violence escalating over time in chaotic patterns. Derek's violence was methodical, scheduled, always on Monday, always followed by the same remorseful script. Someone was making him do this, and Jasmine was going to find out who. Downstairs, she heard the front door open. Derek was home. She checked the time on her phone. 11:51 p.m., 9 minutes until Monday ended. She heard his footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, reluctant, like a man walking to his own execution. Jasmine sat up in bed, bracing herself, her hand instinctively reaching for her phone, where the recording app was ready to activate with one touch. The bedroom door opened. Derek stood in the doorway, and even in the dim light, she could see the anguish on his face. "Jasmine," he said, his voice strained. "We need to talk." "About what?" she asked, keeping her voice neutral. She had learned not to show fear or anger on Mondays. It only made him more volatile. "About dinner. You said you'd make lasagna tonight. I came home to leftover Chinese food." Here we go, she thought. The manufactured argument. "Derek, I told you this morning I had a double shift. I didn't have time to cook. The Chinese food was my way of making sure you had something to eat." "That's not the point." His voice rose right on cue. "The point is you don't keep your promises. You say you'll do something, and then you don't do it." Jasmine pressed the record button on her phone, hidden under her pillow. "I'm sorry you're upset," she said carefully. "But I don't think this is really about lasagna. What's actually wrong?" "What's wrong is that I can't trust you. You're always making excuses, always too tired, always putting your job before our marriage." He moved closer to the bed, and Jasmine saw something in his hand. His phone, clutched tightly, screen facing down as if he didn't want her to see what was on it. "Derek, please calm down. We can talk about this tomorrow when—" "No!" He grabbed her arm, pulling her out of the bed roughly. "We're talking about this now." But something was different tonight. His grip was tighter. His anger seemed more desperate than usual. And then she saw it, his hand drawing back, not for a slap, but for a punch aimed at her face. In that split second, Jasmine made a decision. She wasn't going to be a victim tonight. She ducked, and his fist hit the headboard with a sickening crack. Derek cried out in pain, cradling his hand. "What the hell, Jasmine?" "What the hell, Derek?" She shot back, her voice finally unleashing 3 months of suppressed rage. "You were going to punch me in the face, not slap me, punch me. What is wrong with you?" Derek looked panicked, glancing at his phone on the floor where he'd dropped it. The screen was face up now, and Jasmine could see a text message notification. 11:57. 3 minutes left. Where is the proof? Jasmine's blood ran cold. "What is that? Who are you texting?" "Nobody. It's nothing, just—" She dove for the phone, grabbing it before he could stop her. His phone wasn't locked. He must have been in the middle of responding when he came upstairs. What she saw on the screen made her stomach drop. A thread of messages, all from a blocked number, all containing photos. Photos of her face after each Monday beating. Photos with messages like, "Better, but I want more next week." And then, the most recent message? "She wants proof this time. Make it bleed. You have until midnight." Below that, there was a response Derek had been typing but hadn't sent yet. "Please, I can't do this anymore. I can't hurt her like this. Let me pay you more money instead." And the response from the blocked number? "No more negotiations. Blood by midnight, or the photos go to your father's email at 12:01 a.m. Choose." Jasmine looked up at her husband, who was now sitting on the floor, his injured hand pressed to his chest, tears streaming down his face. "Someone's making you do this," she whispered. "Every Monday. Someone's been making you beat me." Derek nodded miserably. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to stop it." "Who?" Jasmine demanded. "Who is doing this?" "I don't know. It's a blocked number. It started in Vegas at my bachelor party. There are photos I don't remember. Photos that would destroy me, destroy us, destroy my family. And she said if I didn't—" "She?" Jasmine interrupted. "The person blackmailing you is a woman?" I've only heard her voice once, distorted through a voice changer. But yes, I think it's a woman. She said I could keep you, keep my life, keep everything, as long as I proved every Monday that she owns me. Jasmine felt her world tilting. Her husband wasn't an abuser. He was a victim. But that didn't erase the fact that his hands had hurt her 12 times, that her face had been photographed and sent to some sadistic stranger, that she had been terrorized for 3 months. "We're going to the police," she said. "No, if we go to the police, she'll release the photos. My father will disown me. The church will fire me. Your father will—" "My father is the district attorney," Jasmine interrupted coldly. "And we're going to him right now. Tonight. Before midnight." She grabbed her phone, her keys, and her jacket. Derek remained on the floor, defeated. "It's too late. It's 11:59. She's going to send the photos anyway because I didn't—" Jasmine's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hello, Jasmine. I've been waiting for you to figure it out. Smart girl. Now here's what's going to happen next." Who is the mysterious woman blackmailing Derek? Why does she want Jasmine hurt specifically on Mondays? And what does she want now that Jasmine knows the truth? Drop a like if you're hooked, and comment where you're watching from. Jasmine stared at the text message, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. "Hello, Jasmine. I've been waiting for you to figure it out. Smart girl. Now here's what's going to happen next." Before she could read further, her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, putting it on speaker so Derek could hear. "Hello, Jasmine." The voice was feminine, smooth, almost pleasant, like a news anchor or a corporate executive. No distortion this time. "I'm so glad we can finally talk directly." "Who are you?" Jasmine demanded, her voice steady despite her racing pulse. "Why are you doing this?" "Oh, so many questions. Let me start with the important one. I'm the woman who's been documenting your husband's abuse for the past 12 weeks. I have photos, time-stamped and geolocated, showing a clear pattern of domestic violence. So if those photos reach the right people, the police, your father the DA, your hospital's HR department, your husband goes to prison and you become Atlanta's most famous domestic violence victim. Is that what you want?" "I want you to leave us alone," Jasmine said. "I'm sure you do, but we're past that now. You see, I gave Derek very simple instructions. Hurt you just enough to control him, but not enough to break you. And it was working beautifully until tonight when he decided to grow a conscience and you decided to grow a spine." "Why Mondays?" Jasmine asked, stalling while she grabbed a pen and paper, writing a note to Derek. "Get your laptop. Trace this call." Derek nodded and stumbled to his feet, rushing to grab his laptop from his home office. The woman on the phone laughed. Because Mondays are when his father holds staff meetings at New Hope Ministries. Every Monday at 9 a.m., Pastor Williams gathers his leadership team, including his precious son, and they pray together, plan together, build that Christian empire together. I wanted Derek to sit in those meetings every week knowing that the night before, he'd beaten his wife. I wanted him to feel the hypocrisy burning in his chest every time he said amen. "You're sick," Jasmine whispered. "I'm thorough," the woman corrected. "There's a difference. Now, here's what happens next. You and Derek are going to stay married. You're going to smile for the cameras at church events. You're going to play the happy couple. And every Monday night, he's going to hurt you. But now, you'll know why. You'll be complicit. You'll be choosing to let it happen to protect his reputation. How does that feel, Jasmine? To become an accomplice to your own abuse?" "Never," Jasmine said firmly. "We're going to the police. Right now. We're going to expose you." "Really? With what evidence? A block number? A voice on a phone? I'm using a burner phone routed through 3 VPNs. Good luck tracing it. And the photos of Derek in Vegas? Those are stored on encrypted servers with automated release triggers. If I don't check in every 48 hours, they automatically send to a list of 200 people, including your father, Derek's father, every major news outlet in Atlanta, and the board of New Hope Ministries. You can't stop it. You can only obey." Derek returned with his laptop, frantically typing, attempting to trace the call. His expression grew increasingly frustrated. Whoever this woman was, she knew how to cover her tracks. "What do you want?" Jasmine asked, trying a different approach. "Money? Revenge for something? What's your endgame?" "My endgame?" The woman's voice took on a harder edge. "My endgame is watching Derek Williams suffer, watching him destroy the woman he loves, watching him become exactly what he pretends he isn't, a man who hurts women. And if you're very unlucky, Jasmine, you'll stay with him long enough to see him turn into a real abuser. Because that's what happens. The fake violence becomes real. The Monday beatings become Tuesday beatings. And eventually you become another statistic while he becomes another hypocritical pastor who preaches love and practices hate." "Why do you hate him so much?" Jasmine pressed. "What did he do to you?" There was a pause. For the first time, the woman's perfect composure cracked slightly. "He didn't do anything to me personally. But his father? Pastor Marcus Williams? He destroyed my family. 10 years ago, my mother was the church secretary at New Hope Ministries. She and Pastor Williams had an affair. When she got pregnant, he promised to leave his wife, to take care of her, to do the right thing. Instead, he fired her, paid her $50,000 to disappear, and told the congregation she'd stolen from the church. My mother was blacklisted from every church in Atlanta. She lost everything. She developed depression, and 5 years ago, she killed herself." The room went silent except for the sound of Derek's ragged breathing. "I'm sorry about your mother," Jasmine said carefully. "That's terrible. But taking revenge on Derek for his father's sins, isn't that what the Bible teaches?" The woman interrupted bitterly. "The sins of the father visited upon the son? Pastor Marcus Williams took everything from my family, so I'm taking everything from his. And I'm making his golden boy son, the youth pastor, the perfect Christian, the man following in daddy's footsteps, into exactly what his father is. A liar, an abuser, a hypocrite." "What's your name?" Jasmine asked softly. Another pause. Then, "Victoria. Victoria Chen. Though your husband might remember my mother, Linda Chen, the church secretary who stole from New Hope Ministries before mysteriously disappearing." Derek's face went white. "I remember her," he whispered. "I was 16 when she left. My father said she'd been embezzling, that she was dangerous, that we should pray for her soul." "He lied," Victoria said coldly. "She never stole a dime. She just made the mistake of believing your father loved her. And that mistake cost her everything. So now it's going to cost him everything. His son's reputation, his church's credibility, his precious legacy. I'm going to burn it all down, Derek, and you're going to help me do it." "No," Derek said, finding his voice. "I won't. I'll tell my father the truth about Vegas, about the blackmail, about what you've made me do. I'll face the consequences, but I won't let you use me to destroy innocent people." "Noble," Victoria said mockingly. "But stupid. Because those Vegas photos, they're not real, Derek. They never were. We drugged you at the bachelor party, posed you with models while you were unconscious, and photoshopped the explicit parts. The photos look real, but they're completely fake. You could prove it with forensic analysis. But here's the problem. By the time you prove they're fake, your reputation is destroyed. The church board will force you out. Your father will cut you off. And Jasmine? She'll look at you differently forever, wondering if maybe some of it was real." Derek looked like he'd been punched in the stomach. It was all fake? I've been beating my wife for 3 months over fake photos?" "Technically, you've been beating your wife because you're a coward," Victoria corrected. "A brave man would have called the bluff, faced the consequences, and protected his wife. You chose to sacrifice her instead of yourself. Do you? That tells me everything I need to know about who you really are." Jasmine watched her husband crumble, and despite everything, she felt a wave of pity. He wasn't strong like she'd thought. He wasn't the confident youth pastor who led Bible studies and counseled troubled teens. He was weak, terrified, and out of his depth. But pity wasn't going to save them. "Victoria," Jasmine said, her voice taking on the commanding tone her father used in courtrooms. "You've made your point. You've hurt us. You've exposed Derek's weaknesses. You've gotten your revenge. Now let us go." "Let you go?" Victoria laughed. "Oh, Jasmine, we're just getting started. Here's what's going to happen next. Tomorrow morning, Derek is going to go to his father's staff meeting like nothing happened. He's going to smile. He's going to pray. He's going to be the perfect son. And then tomorrow night, he's going to come home and tell you that his father has invited you both to a special church event this Friday, a gala celebrating New Hope Ministries' 30th anniversary. 500 guests, live streamed to 10,000 online viewers. The perfect stage." "Stage for what?" Jasmine asked, dread pooling in her stomach. "For the truth to come out. At exactly 8 p.m. this Friday, during Pastor Williams' anniversary speech, I'm going to release everything. The affair with my mother, the pregnancy, the hush money, the lies about embezzlement. And as the grand finale, a video montage of Derek beating you every Monday for 12 weeks, with timestamps and dates, showing that the godly Williams family is built on lies, affairs, and abuse. The church will collapse. The Williams name will be destroyed. And you, Jasmine, will become the most famous domestic violence victim in Atlanta, whether you want to be or not." "You can't do this," Derek said desperately. "My father's church serves thousands of families. There are youth programs, addiction recovery programs, food banks. You'll hurt innocent people." "Your father should have thought about that before he destroyed innocent people," Victoria replied. "Friday at 8 p.m., the truth comes out. You can't stop it, you can't prevent it. The only choice you have is this. You can attend the gala and watch your world burn in person, or you can run and watch it burn on social media. Either way, it burns." The call ended abruptly. Jasmine and Derek stared at each other in the sudden silence. "We have 4 days," Jasmine said quietly. 4 days to figure out how to stop her." "There's no stopping her," Derek said, defeated. "She's thought of everything. She's always 3 steps ahead. She's not infallible," Jasmine interrupted. "She's angry, she's hurt, and angry people make mistakes. And if there's one thing my father taught me, it's that everyone leaves a trail. We just have to find hers." She grabbed her phone and dialed a number. "Jasmine?" Her father's voice answered, groggy with sleep. "It's almost midnight. What's wrong?" "Dad, I need your help. Derek and I are coming over right now, and I need you to call in every favor you have. Private investigators, cybersecurity experts, anyone who can trace digital footprints. We have 4 days to find a woman who's been blackmailing us, and if we don't find her, she's going to destroy everything." "Start from the beginning," District Attorney Harold Mitchell said, his voice instantly shifting from sleepy father to sharp prosecutor. "Tell me everything." 30 minutes later, Jasmine and Derek sat in the study of Harold Mitchell's upscale Buckhead home, explaining the entire nightmare to Jasmine's parents. Harold, a distinguished 58-year-old black man with silver temples and the commanding presence of someone who'd sent dozens of criminals to prison, listened without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad. Jasmine's mother, Patricia Mitchell, a family court judge, sat beside him, her expression growing darker with each detail. When they finished, Harold was silent for a long moment, reviewing his notes. "First," he finally said, looking at Derek with barely restrained fury, "you've committed 12 counts of assault on my daughter. I should have you arrested right now." "Dad," Jasmine started. "Let me finish," Harold interrupted. "However, given the blackmail circumstances and the fact that Jasmine clearly wants to handle this differently, I'm going to set aside my personal feelings and focus on the legal situation. Victoria Chen, if that's really her name, has committed extortion, blackmail, harassment, and possibly fraud regarding those Vegas photos. We have grounds to prosecute, but she has a dead man's switch," Derek said. "If we arrest her, or if she doesn't check in every 48 hours, the photos and videos release automatically." "Which means we can't go after her directly," Harold agreed. "We need to find her servers, disable the automated release, and then we can take her down. That's going to require serious cyber forensics." Patricia spoke up for the first time, her voice icy. "I want to address something else. Derek, you chose to hurt my daughter rather than face consequences yourself. That's unforgivable. I don't care what photos existed, real or fake, you should have protected Jasmine, not sacrificed her." "I know," Derek said, his voice breaking. "I know. There's no excuse. I was a coward. I am a coward." "Yes, you are," Patricia agreed. "But my daughter has chosen to try to save you anyway, which tells me more about her character than yours. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to do exactly what Jasmine and her father tell you to do. You're going to be honest about everything, even the parts that make you look bad. And when this is over, if we succeed in stopping Victoria, you're going to get intensive therapy and you're going to spend the rest of your life making this up to Jasmine. Understood?" "Yes, ma'am." Harold leaned forward. "Now let's talk strategy. We have 4 days. Victoria is planning to expose everything at Friday's gala. That's our deadline. But it's also our opportunity." "How?" Jasmine asked. "Because she's planning a public reveal. That means she'll need to be physically present or at least remotely connected to trigger the release during the event. If we can identify her at the gala, track her digital footprint in real time, we might be able to locate her servers before she can trigger the release." "That's a huge if," Derek said. "It's the only play we have," Harold replied. "So here's the plan. Tomorrow morning, Derek, you go to your father's staff meeting like Victoria demanded. Act normal. Don't tell your father anything yet. We can't risk him reacting in a way that tips off Victoria." "But my father deserves to know about the affair with Linda Chen, about Victoria's mother." "He does," Harold agreed. "And we'll tell him. But after we've neutralized Victoria's threat. Right now, our priority is stopping the automatic release. Everything else comes second." He turned to Jasmine. "I'm putting together a team. I have a contact. Former FBI cybercrime specialist, now works private sector. If anyone can trace Victoria's digital footprint and find those servers, it's her. But we need Victoria to slip up. We need her to make contact again, give us something to trace." "She will," Jasmine said with certainty. "She's not done gloating. She wants us to suffer, which means she'll want to see us suffer. She'll make contact again." "Good. When she does, we'll be ready." As dawn broke over Atlanta, Jasmine, Derek, and her parents finalized their plan. They had 4 days to find Victoria Chen, stop the automatic release, and save the Williams family from total destruction. 4 days to turn from victims into hunters. And Jasmine was going to make sure that when they found Victoria Chen, the woman who'd terrorized her marriage would face consequences she never saw coming. Victoria Chen has revealed herself and her devastating plan, but she underestimated one thing. Jasmine isn't just a victim, she's a prosecutor's daughter. The hunt begins. Tuesday morning, 8:47 a.m. Derek sat in the conference room at New Hope Ministries, surrounded by his father's leadership team, trying to focus on the staff meeting while his entire world crumbled around him. Pastor Marcus Williams, a commanding 62-year-old black man with silver hair, an expensive suit, and the charismatic presence that had built a megachurch from nothing, was mid-sermon about the upcoming 30th anniversary gala. This Friday night is about celebrating God's faithfulness to this ministry, Pastor Williams declared, his voice booming. 3 decades of serving this community. 3 decades of changed lives. 3 decades of walking in truth and integrity. Derek felt bile rise in his throat. Truth and integrity. His father's entire ministry was built on lies. An affair covered up, a woman destroyed, a family shattered. And Derek himself had become exactly what Victoria accused him of being. A hypocrite who hurt his wife while preaching love. Derek? His father's voice cut through his thoughts. You've been quiet this morning. Everything okay? All eyes turned to him. 7 staff members, all waiting for the youth pastor's trademark encouraging smile and positive energy. I'm fine, Dad, Derek managed. Just thinking about how to make Friday night special for the youth program's involvement. That's my son, Pastor Williams said proudly. Always thinking ahead. Speaking of Friday, I assume you and Jasmine will be seated at the head table with your mother and me? Of course, Derek said, the words tasting like ash. The head table, front and center when Victoria's bomb detonated at 8 p.m. His phone buzzed in his pocket, a text from Jasmine. Stay calm, stick to the plan. We're making progress. Across town in a nondescript office building in Midtown Atlanta, Jasmine sat with her father and a woman who looked like she'd stepped out of a cyberpunk movie. Sharp, undercut hairstyle, multiple piercings, wearing all black and surrounded by 4 computer monitors displaying code that looked like digital hieroglyphics. This is Alex Rivera, Harold introduced. Former FBI, now the best freelance cybersecurity specialist in the Southeast. If anyone can find Victoria Chen's servers, it's her. Alex didn't look up from her screens. I've been tracking the phone number Victoria called from last night. She was right. It's routed through VPNs across 3 countries, but she made a mistake. What mistake? Jasmine asked, leaning forward. She talked too long. Most burner call protocols are designed for quick communications, 30 seconds max. But she talked to you for almost 8 minutes. That gave me enough data points to narrow down her general location during the call. Alex pulled up a map of Atlanta on one screen. She was somewhere in this 3-mile radius when she called you. Buckhead area, probably residential based on background noise analysis. And here's the interesting part. Her digital footprint suggests she's not some sophisticated hacker operating from a remote bunker. She's local, she's angry, and she's been planning this for years, which means she's left traces. What kind of traces? Harold asked. Social media, for starters. I found a Victoria Chen, age 31, living in Atlanta, whose mother was Linda Chen, former church secretary who died by suicide 5 years ago, exactly as Victoria described. Victoria graduated from Georgia Tech with a degree in computer science. She worked for 3 different tech companies before going independent as a digital security consultant 2 years ago, which is basically code for, I know how to hack and I'm freelancing. Alex pulled up a photo. An Asian American woman with sharp features, dark, intense eyes, and a brilliant smile that didn't quite reach those eyes. This is her, Victoria Chen. And here's where it gets interesting. She's been attending New Hope Ministries for the past 6 months. Jasmine felt her stomach drop. She's been going to my husband's church? Every Sunday, sitting in the back, watching. I pulled security footage from the church's parking lot cameras. Your husband's church has excellent surveillance, by the way. Victoria has been there 23 Sundays in a row. She's not hiding. She's watching her revenge unfold in real time. So she's been close this entire time, Harold said grimly. Has she interacted with Derek or Pastor Williams? Not directly. She stays in the back, leaves before the service ends, never engages in fellowship. She's a ghost. But here's the thing. Ghosts still leave digital footprints, and Victoria's gotten cocky. Alex typed rapidly, pulling up financial records. In the past 6 months, Victoria has made several large purchases: high-end camera equipment, encrypted servers from a dark web vendor, and she's been renting a storage unit in Marietta under a shell company. I'm betting that's where her servers are, the ones with the dead man's switch that automatically releases the photos and videos if she doesn't check in. Can we access the storage unit? Jasmine asked. Not legally without a warrant, Harold said, and we can't get a warrant without alerting Victoria that we're onto her. Actually, Alex said with a sly smile, I might have a workaround. The storage facility uses a digital security system that's laughably outdated. I can loop the security cameras for 30 minutes, long enough for someone to get in, locate Victoria's unit, and identify what we're dealing with. Once we know the physical location of the servers, we can disable them before Friday's gala. That's breaking and entering, Harold said flatly. I'm a district attorney. I can't sanction that. Then it's good that you're not sanctioning anything, Alex replied. You're simply continuing your investigation while I happen to be in a storage facility doing my own private research. What happens there is between me and my conscience. Harold and Jasmine exchanged a look. They both knew what Alex was offering: plausible deniability. If Alex got caught, Harold could claim he had no knowledge of the illegal entry. What if you get caught? Jasmine asked. Then I get arrested, you disavow any knowledge of my actions, and we're back to square one, Alex said with a shrug. But I won't get caught. I've done this before. How soon can you do it? Harold asked, not quite sanctioning, but not quite refusing either. Tonight, after midnight, when the facility security guard makes his rounds. I'll have 90 minutes before he circles back. Meanwhile, Victoria Chen sat in her own apartment in Buckhead, a sleek modern space that overlooked the Atlanta skyline, monitoring multiple screens that showed feeds from various sources. One screen displayed the security camera feed from New Hope Ministries conference room, showing Derek sitting through his father's staff meeting, looking miserable. Another screen showed Jasmine's townhouse, with cameras Victoria had discreetly installed during a maintenance visit she'd arranged 3 weeks ago by impersonating a building inspector. A third screen monitored social media mentions of Pastor Marcus Williams, New Hope Ministries, and the upcoming gala. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Her phone rang. A real call this time, not routed through encryption. Her business partner. Victoria, the staging for Friday is almost complete, the voice said. We've got the video presentation loaded, the automatic triggers are set, and the backup servers are secured. Nothing can stop this. Good, Victoria said. And the timing? 8:03 p.m., right in the middle of Pastor Williams' speech. 30 seconds of black screen, then the truth starts rolling. By 8:15 p.m., everything will be public. The affair, the cover-up, the money, and the videos of Derek beating Jasmine. The church will be in chaos before security can even shut down the live stream. Perfect. Victoria allowed herself a small smile. What about Jasmine and Derek? Any indication they're planning something? They went to her father's house last night after you called, stayed for 3 hours. My guess? They're trying to find a way to stop you. Let them try, Victoria said confidently. They have no idea where the servers are. They have no idea how the dead man's switch works. And they have no idea that I've been 3 steps ahead of them this entire time. By Friday night, the Williams family will be destroyed and there's nothing they can do to prevent it. After hanging up, Victoria poured herself a glass of wine and stood at her window, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Jasmine and Derek were probably scrambling, desperate, terrified. Good. Let them feel helpless. Let them understand what it's like when someone more powerful destroys your family and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Let them suffer like her mother suffered. At 12:47 a.m., Wednesday morning, Alex Rivera stood outside the Marietta Storage Solutions facility wearing all black, carrying a small backpack of tools, and reviewing the building's security layout on her phone one final time. Jasmine had insisted on coming along, despite both Alex and Harold warning her against it. If something goes wrong, you need plausible deniability, Harold had argued. I'm not letting Alex take all the risk, Jasmine had countered. This is my life being destroyed. I'm going. Now they stood together in the shadows, waiting for the security guard to complete his rounds. "You sure about this?" Alex asked. "Once we go in, there's no turning back. If we get caught, your father can't protect you." "I'm sure," Jasmine said. "Let's end this." They moved quickly and quietly, Alex having already looped the security cameras to show empty hallways. They made their way to Unit 247, the one registered to Victoria's shell company. Alex made quick work of the lock with a bypass tool. The door rolled up with a soft metallic sound. Inside, they found exactly what they were looking for. A small server rack with blinking lights, multiple hard drives, and a laptop connected to everything. "This is it," Alex whispered, pulling out her own laptop. "This is the distribution server. If Victoria doesn't check in every 48 hours, it automatically sends the files to her target list. And if we try to shut it down or disconnect it, the same thing happens. Automatic distribution." "So we can't touch it?" Jasmine asked, her heart sinking. "I didn't say that." Alex's fingers flew across her keyboard. "I'm cloning the entire system right now. Every file, every protocol, every line of code. Once I have a complete copy, I can create a shadow system that mimics this one. Then on Friday afternoon, we swap them out. Victoria will think her dead man's switch is still active, but we'll have control of when and if anything gets released." "How long will the cloning take?" 20 minutes. Then we need to get out before the guard comes back." As Alex worked, Jasmine explored the rest of the storage unit. File boxes filled with research, printed emails, phone records, financial documents, all related to her father-in-law's affair with Linda Chen. Victoria had been thorough, obsessive even. One box caught Jasmine's attention. Derek Williams, Vegas operation. She opened it and found the evidence of Victoria's setup, receipts for hiring the models, communication logs with the photographer, technical notes about the Photoshop work, and detailed plans for drugging Derek at his bachelor party. It was all here. Proof that the photos were fake. Proof that Victoria had manufactured the entire blackmail scenario. "Got it," Alex announced. "Full clone complete. Now we get out of here and—" The sound of footsteps outside froze them both. Not the security guard's slow, methodical patrol. These were quick, purposeful steps. The storage unit door suddenly rolled up the rest of the way, and there stood Victoria Chen in person, flanked by two large men who looked like professional security. "Hello, Jasmine," Victoria said calmly, holding up her phone showing a security app. "Did you really think I wouldn't have my own surveillance on my storage unit? I've been watching you for the past 20 minutes. Jasmine's hand instinctively went to her pocket where her phone was recording everything, just as her father had instructed. "It's over, Victoria," Jasmine said with more confidence than she felt. "We have your files. We have proof the Vegas photos are fake. We have evidence of your entire blackmail operation. You have copies of data," Victoria corrected. "But you don't have control of the servers, and you don't have the override codes. So nothing has changed except now you know for certain that Friday at 8 p.m. your world ends." She stepped closer, her expression hardening. "I'll give you credit, though. You're more resourceful than I expected. Breaking into my storage unit, hiring a hacker, trying to outmaneuver me. Your father taught you well, but you're still going to lose, Zare. Because I've spent 5 years planning this. 5 years studying your husband, his family, and their precious church. 5 years building redundancies and fail-safes. You've had 4 days. Then why are you here?" Alex asked. "If you're so confident, why confront us?" Victoria smiled coldly. "Because I want Jasmine to understand something. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about consequences. Your husband chose to beat you rather than face his own consequences. His father chose to destroy my mother rather than face his consequences. I'm simply ensuring that the Williams family finally faces theirs. And you, Jasmine? You're going to face yours too, for choosing to stay with a man who hurt you 12 times instead of leaving the first time." "I'm choosing to fight," Jasmine shot back. "Not for Derek. Not for his father's church. For every woman who's ever been trapped by someone who thinks they're untouchable. You think you're the hero of this story, Victoria? You're not. You're just another abuser using pain to feel powerful. For the first time, Victoria's composure cracked. Fury flashed in her eyes. Don't you dare compare me to them. I'm giving victims a voice. I'm exposing the truth. By making me a victim? Jasmine challenged. By forcing Derek to hurt me? You didn't give me a voice, Victoria. You took it away. Just like Pastor Williams took your mother's voice away. You've become exactly what you claim to hate. The silence stretched between them, tension crackling in the air. Then Victoria's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her expression shifted from anger to shock. What? She whispered, staring at the screen. Alex smiled. While we were talking, my software was uploading a virus to your server through the wireless connection. It's not shutting anything down. That would trigger your fail-safes. Instead, it's giving us administrative access. By the time you get back to your apartment, you'll find that your dead man's switch isn't quite as dead as you thought. Victoria's security stepped forward, but she held up a hand. It doesn't matter. I have backup servers. You can't stop all of them. Maybe not, Jasmine said. But we can expose you. Right now, my father has a warrant being prepared for your arrest on blackmail and extortion charges. By morning, you'll be in custody. And when you are, those automatic releases won't matter because you'll be the one facing consequences. Victoria's smile returned, but it was brittle now. You're bluffing. Your father can't get a warrant without probable cause, and anything you found here is inadmissible because you obtained it illegally. True, Jasmine agreed. Which is why we didn't rely on what we found here. She pulled out her phone and played a recording. Victoria's voice from their phone call Monday night, clearly confessing to blackmail, extortion, and manufacturing false evidence. That recording is also inadmissible, Victoria said, but her voice wavered. Georgia is a one-party consent state for recordings, but I consented to being recorded, Jasmine interrupted. I'm one of the parties, which makes it perfectly legal. And right now, my father is presenting that recording, along with my testimony about 12 weeks of orchestrated abuse, to a judge. By dawn, there will be a warrant for your arrest. Victoria stared at her, calculating, reassessing. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. And you underestimated me, Jasmine replied. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to shut down your servers, all of them. You're going to delete every photo, every video, every piece of blackmail material, and then you're going to turn yourself in to the police. Or, Victoria challenged, or we release everything we found in your storage unit, including proof that you manufactured the Vegas photos, that you've been stalking my husband's family for years, and that you've committed multiple felonies. The media will paint you not as a victim seeking justice for her mother, but as an unstable criminal who terrorized an innocent woman. Is that the legacy you want for your mother? For people to remember Linda Chen as the mother of a blackmailer? Victoria's jaw clenched. She looked at the storage unit, at the servers that contained her carefully planned revenge, at the 5 years of work that was crumbling in front of her. You can't stop Friday, she finally said. Even if I turn myself in, even if I delete everything, the damage is done. Your husband beat you 12 times, that's fact. The church needs to know what kind of people the Williams family really are. Maybe, Jasmine said. But that's not your choice to make, it's mine. And I choose how my story gets told. Not you. Victoria's plan is unraveling, but she still has cards to play. Will she surrender, or will she detonate her revenge bomb anyway? And can Jasmine truly stop Friday's revelation? Coming chapter will show the final confrontation. Wednesday, 6:47 a.m. Victoria Chen sat in an interrogation room at the Atlanta Police Department, her wrists in handcuffs, her carefully constructed world collapsing around her. Across the table sat District Attorney Harold Mitchell and Detective Sarah Martinez, both reviewing the evidence Jasmine and Alex had gathered from the storage unit. 5 felony counts, Harold said, sliding papers across the table. Blackmail, extortion, manufacturing false evidence, stalking, and conspiracy to commit assault. You're looking at 25 years minimum. Victoria's expression remained neutral. You can't prove the assault charges. Derek beat Jasmine of his own free will. I didn't force his hand. You created a coercive environment through blackmail. Detective Martinez countered. That's felony assault by proxy. We've charged people with less. Then charge me, Victoria said coldly. Arrest me, prosecute me, send me to prison. But it won't stop what's coming Friday. My servers have automated protocols. Even if I'm in custody, they'll still release everything at 8 p.m. Harold leaned forward. Or you could cooperate. Give us the override codes. Shut down the servers. And in exchange, we recommend a reduced sentence. Maybe 8 years with possibility of parole. Why would I do that? Victoria asked. I spent 5 years planning this. 5 years watching Pastor Marcus Williams build his empire on my mother's grave. I'm not giving that up for a plea deal. Then you'll go to prison for 2 decades, Harold said flatly. And your mother's story still won't be told the way you want it told. Because when those files release on Friday, the narrative won't be about justice for Linda Chen. It'll be about a disturbed woman who blackmailed and terrorized innocent people. Is that how you want your mother remembered? For the first time, Victoria's composure cracked. Don't talk about my mother. Why not? Harold pressed. You've made this entire operation about her. About the affair, the cover-up, the suicide. But have you considered what she would think about what you've done? About forcing a man to beat his wife? About terrorizing Jasmine? My mother was destroyed by the Williams family, Victoria said, her voice shaking. She deserved justice. Justice or revenge? Harold asked quietly. Because those aren't the same thing. So across town, Jasmine sat in her townhouse with Derek, both of them exhausted from a sleepless night. Alex had successfully cloned Victoria's servers and was working on disabling the automated releases. But there were no guarantees. What if Alex can't stop it? Derek asked, his voice hollow. What if Friday comes and everything gets released anyway? Then we deal with it, Jasmine said, though she felt the fear too. Your father learns about the affair. The church learns the truth, and we face the consequences. You mean I face the consequences? Derek corrected. You didn't do anything wrong. You're the victim here. We're both victims, Jasmine said. Victoria turned us against each other. She made you hurt me and she made me doubt you. That's what abusers do. They create chaos and then watch people destroy themselves. Derek looked at his wife. This woman he'd hurt 12 times. This woman who could have left him, reported him, destroyed him, but instead chose to fight beside him. I don't deserve you, he said. No, you don't. Jasmine agreed bluntly. But I'm not staying with you out of obligation. I'm staying because I saw Victoria's files. I saw the proof that you were drugged, that the photos were fake, that you were blackmailed into hurting me. That doesn't erase what you did. But it means we were both manipulated by someone who wanted to destroy us. Her phone rang. Her father. Victoria's talking, Harold said without preamble. She's agreed to give us the override codes to shut down the servers. In exchange, she wants one thing. What? She wants to meet with you. Face to face. Today. And 2 hours later, Jasmine sat in a private conference room at the DA's office, waiting. The door opened and Victoria Chen entered, still in handcuffs, escorted by Detective Martinez. They sat across from each other, victim and tormentor, face to face for the first time. Victoria looked different without the confident facade. Smaller, tired, almost vulnerable. Why did you want to meet with me? Jasmine asked. Because I need to know something, Victoria said. Are you really going to stay with him? After everything he did? That's none of your business. It is when I'm the one who orchestrated it, Victoria countered. I spent 3 months watching Derek hurt you, convinced that eventually you'd break, leave him, expose him. But you didn't. Why? Jasmine considered the question carefully. Because I chose to see the whole picture. Yes, Derek hurt me, but you were the puppet master pulling the strings. And when I realized that, I had a choice. I could let you win by destroying my marriage, or I could fight back. I chose to fight. Even though he raised his hand to you 12 times? Even though, Jasmine confirmed, because those weren't his choices. They were yours. You made him into an abuser to prove a point about his father. But you know what you actually proved? That good people can be forced into terrible things when they're terrorized. Derek isn't an abuser. He's a victim who is weaponized against me. Victoria shook her head. You're lying to yourself. He chose to hit you instead of facing consequences. That tells you who he really is. And you chose to torture two innocent people instead of confronting the man who actually hurt your mother. Jasmine shot back. What does that tell me about who you are? The silence stretched between them. I can't give you back those Mondays, Victoria finally said. I can't undo the pain I caused. But I can stop Friday from happening. The override codes, I'll give them to your father. The servers will shut down. Nothing gets released. Why? Jasmine asked suspiciously. Why change your mind now? Because you're right, Victoria admitted, her voice breaking. My mother wouldn't want this. She was kind, forgiving, full of grace. She would hate what I've become, what I've done, and I can't let her memory be tied to this ugliness. So I'm stopping it. Not for you or Derek. For her. She pulled a piece of paper from her pocket, a handwritten list of codes and instructions. This shuts down everything. The automated releases, the backup servers, all of it. Your father will verify them before Friday. And then I'll plead guilty to all charges. Jasmine took the paper carefully. What about your story? About your mother and the affair? That's not my story to tell anymore, Victoria said. If it comes out, it comes out. But not like this. Not through revenge. Friday morning, Jasmine and Derek made a decision. They called an emergency meeting with Pastor Marcus Williams, just the three of them, in his private office at the church. What's this about? The pastor asked, concerned by their serious expressions. Derek took a breath. Dad, there's something you need to know. About Linda Chen. Pastor Williams's face went pale. What about Linda? She didn't steal from the church, Derek said. She never did. And her daughter Victoria has been blackmailing me for months, forcing me to hurt Jasmine, all because of what you did to her mother. For the next hour, they told him everything. The affair, the pregnancy, the hush money, Victoria's revenge plot, the 12 Mondays of orchestrated abuse, and Victoria's arrest. When they finished, Pastor Marcus Williams looked like he'd aged 10 years. I knew, he whispered. I always knew that my sins would come back. But I never thought my son would pay the price for my mistakes. Tonight's gala, Jasmine said. Victoria was planning to expose everything. We stopped her servers, but Dad, the truth needs to come out. Not through Victoria's revenge, but through your confession. You want me to confess publicly? Marcus asked. To the entire church? Yes, Derek said firmly. Because if you don't, you're still letting another woman suffer in silence. Linda Chen's story deserves to be told. But it deserves to be told with truth and accountability, not manipulation and revenge. That evening, New Hope Ministries held its 30th anniversary gala. 500 guests filled the sanctuary, with thousands more watching the live stream. At 8:03 p.m., the exact moment Victoria had planned for her exposé, Pastor Marcus Williams stood at the podium. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration, he began. But before we celebrate, I need to confess. 30 years ago, God blessed me with a vision for this church. But 10 years ago, I betrayed that vision and hurt someone deeply. He told the story, all of it. The affair with Linda Chen, the pregnancy, the hush money, the lies about embezzlement, and the consequences, Linda's death, Victoria's revenge, and his son's suffering. So the sanctuary was silent except for the sound of people crying. I ask for Linda Chen's forgiveness wherever her soul rests, Pastor Williams concluded. I ask for my son's forgiveness, and I ask for this church's forgiveness. But I don't ask to keep my position. Effective immediately, I'm stepping down as senior pastor. I need to make this right, even if it takes the rest of my life. The congregation erupted in shocked murmurs. But slowly, people began to stand, not in condemnation, but in support. Imperfect people recognizing an imperfect man trying to make amends. Jasmine reached for Derek's hand and squeezed it. They had survived Victoria's revenge. They had exposed the truth. And now, finally, they could begin to heal. The truth is out, but healing has just begun. Should I continue with remaining chapters showing the aftermath and true revenge Jasmine has planned? Or would you like adjustments? 3 months after the gala, Jasmine sat in a therapist's office in Buckhead, her third session this week. Dr. Michelle Rodriguez, a trauma specialist who worked exclusively with domestic violence survivors, reviewed her notes. How are the nightmares? Less frequent, Jasmine admitted. I used to wake up every Monday expecting the fight, the violence. Now it's maybe once a week. That's progress. And how are things with Derek? Jasmine hesitated. We're trying. He moved into the guest room. We're doing couples therapy twice a week. He's in individual therapy 4 times a week, but I still flinch sometimes when he moves too quickly. And he knows it, which makes him move like he's walking on eggshells. That's normal. You experienced repeated trauma at his hands, even though he was being coerced. Your body remembers the violence even if your mind understands the context. I know, it's just hard, because I want to forgive him, move forward, rebuild our marriage. But every Monday, even though nothing happens anymore, I still feel that tension. Dr. Rodriguez leaned forward. Jasmine, I'm going to ask you something difficult. Do you want to stay married to Derek? Not because you think you should, not because you understand he was blackmailed, but because you genuinely want to build a life with him? Jasmine was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. Some days, yes. Some days I look at him and remember the man I fell in love with. The youth pastor who made kids laugh, who believed in second chances, who cried during worship songs. But other days I look at him and all I see is Monday nights. The fear, the pain, the betrayal. Then maybe the question isn't whether you stay married. Maybe it's whether you're staying for the right reasons. Meanwhile, across town at New Hope Ministries, Derek sat in his father's old office, now belonging to interim pastor David Chen, a wise 58-year-old minister who had been with the church for 20 years. How's Jasmine? Pastor Chen asked. Distant, Derek admitted. We're trying, but I can feel her pulling away. And I don't blame her. I put my hands on her 12 times. It doesn't matter that I was blackmailed. I still chose to do it. Have you forgiven yourself? No, how can I? Every time I see her flinch, every time I notice her checking her phone anxiously on Mondays, I'm reminded of what I did. My therapist says I need to separate the coercion from the action. But I can't. I hurt her. That's the bottom line. Pastor Chen was quiet for a moment. Derek, I'm going to tell you something that might be hard to hear. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone you've hurt is to let them go. Not because you don't love them, but because your presence, your very existence in their life continues to cause pain. You think I should divorce Jasmine? I think you should give her the choice without pressure. Right now, she feels obligated to stay because she understands the blackmail. Because she fought to save you from Victoria's revenge. Because leaving might feel like admitting Victoria won. But that's not the same as wanting to stay. You need to release her from any expectation or guilt about staying. Derek felt tears slide down his face. If I do that, she'll leave. I know she will. Then maybe that's what needs to happen. And maybe that's the sacrifice you need to make to truly love her. Letting her go, even though it destroys you. At the Fulton County Detention Center, Victoria Chen sat in an orange jumpsuit meeting with her attorney. The DA is offering 8 years with possibility of parole after 5. Her attorney explained. Given the charges, that's incredibly generous. I recommend you take it. What if I go to trial? Then you're looking at 25 years minimum. The evidence is overwhelming, Victoria. You documented everything yourself. The storage unit, the servers, the blackmail texts, all of it. A jury will convict you in less than an hour. Victoria stared at the table. 3 months in jail had stripped away her confidence, her control, her carefully constructed narrative. She wasn't a righteous avenger anymore. She was just a woman who had hurt innocent people and achieved nothing. What happened to Linda Chen's story? Victoria asked. Did Pastor Williams' confession change anything? The church board conducted a full investigation. They found evidence of the affair, the pregnancy, and the hush money. They've established a fund in Linda Chen's name. $500,000 dedicated to supporting single mothers and mental health services. It's not justice exactly, but it's acknowledgement. Victoria felt something crack inside her chest. My mother would have liked that. She always cared more about helping people than about revenge. Then maybe you should let this be her legacy. Not the blackmail, not the revenge plot, but the good that came from finally telling the truth. I destroyed 2 people's lives for nothing, Victoria whispered. Jasmine and Derek will never be the same. And for what? My mother's still dead. Pastor Williams lost his position but kept his family. Nothing really changed except I ruined 3 more lives. So take the deal, her attorney urged. Plead guilty, serve your time, and when you get out, find a way to make amends. It won't undo the damage, but it's better than spending the next 25 years in prison accomplishing nothing. Victoria nodded slowly. Okay, I'll take the deal. 8 years. But I want one thing. What? I want to write a letter to Jasmine. An apology. A real one, not some legal maneuver. I want her to know that I understand what I did, that I'm sorry, and that she doesn't owe me forgiveness. Can you make sure she gets it? 2 weeks later, Jasmine received a thick envelope delivered by Victoria's attorney. Inside was a handwritten letter. 10 pages of small, careful script. She almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity won. Dear Jasmine, I don't expect you to read this. I don't deserve your time or your attention, but I need to write it anyway, even if you burn it the moment you're done. I'm writing this from jail, awaiting sentencing. I've pleaded guilty to all charges. I'll serve at least 5 years, possibly 8. It's not enough. No amount of time could be enough for what I did to you. I told myself I was seeking justice for my mother, that forcing Derek to hurt you was somehow righteous because it exposed the Williams family's hypocrisy. But the truth is, I was just angry. Angry at Pastor Williams for destroying my mother, angry at the church for believing his lies, angry at the world for being unfair. And I took that anger out on 2 people who had nothing to do with my mother's pain. You asked me in that storage unit if I had become what I hated. You were right. I became an abuser. I used power and manipulation to cause pain, just like Pastor Williams did to my mother. I told myself it was different because my cause was just, but abuse is abuse, no matter the justification. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for understanding. I just want you to know that I see what I did. I see how I terrorized you for 3 months, how I turned your Mondays into nightmares, how I forced your husband to hurt you. I see it all, and I will carry that guilt for the rest of my life. If you stay with Derek, I hope you find peace. If you leave him, I hope you find freedom. Either way, I hope you find healing. I'm sorry isn't adequate, but it's all I have. Victoria Chen. Jasmine read the letter 3 times, then carefully folded it and put it in a drawer. She didn't forgive Victoria. She wasn't ready for that. Might never be ready, but she understood something now. Victoria was broken too. Broken by grief, by injustice, by watching her mother suffer and being powerless to stop it. That didn't excuse what Victoria did, but it explained it. And somehow that understanding helped. That evening, Jasmine and Derek sat on opposite ends of their living room sofa, the physical distance between them a metaphor for the emotional distance that had grown over 3 months. I got a letter from Victoria, Jasmine said. Derek looked up, startled. What did it say? That she's sorry, that she sees what she did, that she hopes I heal, whether I stay with you or not. Oh. Silence settled between them. Finally, Jasmine spoke the words they'd both been avoiding. I don't know if I can stay married to you. Derek's face crumpled, but he nodded. I know. It's not because I don't understand what happened. It's not because I blame you entirely. It's because every time I look at you, I remember Monday nights. And I don't know if I can spend the rest of my life fighting those memories. What do you want to do? Derek asked quietly. I think we need a separation. Not a divorce yet, but space. Time to figure out who we are without the trauma defining us. You need to heal from the blackmail and the guilt. I need to heal from the fear and the violence. And we can't do that while we're still living together, still trying to be the couple we were before all this happened. How long? I don't know. 6 months? A year? However long it takes for me to look at you and not see Monday nights. Derek wiped tears from his face. If this is what you need, then okay. I'll move out, I'll give you space. And if at the end of that time you decide you can't come back, I'll understand. I'll sign whatever papers you want. No contest, no drama. You deserve that choice. Thank you, Jasmine whispered. They sat together in the silence of their breaking marriage. Two people who had loved each other before Victoria's revenge, and who might never find their way back to that love again. 6 months later, Jasmine stood in the doorway of her new apartment in Virginia Highland, a cozy one-bedroom place she'd rented after Derek moved out. Sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the fresh start she'd built for herself. New furniture, plants on the windowsill, framed photos of her family, but notably none of Derek. Her phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Rodriguez. Ready for today's session? We're discussing the finality question. The finality question. Whether to file for divorce or attempt reconciliation. 6 months of separation had brought clarity Jasmine hadn't expected. She'd thrown herself into work at the hospital, volunteered at a domestic violence shelter her father helped fund, and slowly rebuilt her sense of safety. She no longer woke up on Monday mornings with anxiety. She no longer flinched at sudden movements. She had healed. But healing didn't automatically mean reconciliation. Her doorbell rang. Derek stood there, looking nervous, holding 2 cups of coffee from the shop they used to visit together. Hi, he said tentatively. You said we could talk today? Come in. They sat across from each other at her small kitchen table, the coffee between them like a demilitarized zone. You look good, Derek offered. Healthier. I am healthier. Therapy's been helping, and the distance has been good for me. I'm glad. Derek's voice was sincere. I've been in therapy too, 4 times a week still. Dr. Pierce says I've made progress, but he's also been honest that some damage can't be undone. What kind of damage? The damage I did to you. To us. He says even though I was coerced, my hands still hurt you. My choices, even forced choices, still cause trauma. And he says that sometimes the most loving thing an abuser can do is accept that his victim might never feel safe with him again. Jasmine was quiet, absorbing his words. This was different from the desperate, guilty Derek of 3 months ago. This was a man who had done the work, who understood consequences, who wasn't asking for forgiveness but acknowledging reality. I've been thinking about what I want, Jasmine said carefully. Not what I should want. Not what would make everyone else happy, but what I genuinely want for my life. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life afraid. I don't want to walk into my home and feel tension. I don't want to wonder if today's the day something triggers you, if some stressful situation makes you lash out, even though logically I know the blackmail is over. So you want a divorce, Derek said, his voice breaking but steady. I think I do. Not because I hate you. Not because I think you're a monster. But because I deserve peace. And I can't have peace with you. Derek nodded, tears sliding down his face. Okay, then that's what we'll do. I'll have my lawyer draw up papers. You can keep the townhouse. It's in both our names, but I'll sign it over. I'll take responsibility for the medical bills from your therapy, and I'll do whatever else you need to move forward. What about you? Jasmine asked. What will you do? I'm leaving Atlanta. Pastor Chen helped me get a position at a small church in North Carolina, not as a pastor, just as an administrative assistant. Somewhere I can be useful without being in leadership. Somewhere I can start over without my father's name, without the weight of New Hope Ministries, without constant reminders of what I did. That's good. You deserve a fresh start too. Do I? Derek asked quietly. I hurt you 12 times, Jasmine. Blackmail or not, I chose to stay silent. Chose to comply. Chose to protect myself over protecting you. Do people who make those choices deserve fresh starts? Jasmine considered the question carefully. I think people who genuinely understand what they did wrong, who do the work to change, who accept consequences without demanding forgiveness, yes, those people deserve the chance to be better. You'll never not be the man who hurt me. But you don't have to be only that. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized on a Tuesday morning in a quiet courtroom with minimal fanfare. Jasmine signed the papers, Derek signed the papers, and the judge declared their marriage dissolved. They stood outside the courthouse afterward, the autumn Atlanta air crisp around them. "I'm leaving for North Carolina tomorrow," Derek said, "but I wanted to give you something first." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a check for $100,000. "What is this?" Jasmine asked, confused. "It's the money my father had saved for my future. Inheritance, essentially. I asked him to give it to me early, and I'm giving it to you. Use it for therapy, for the domestic violence shelter you volunteer at, for whatever helps you heal. It won't undo what I did, but maybe it can do some good." Jasmine stared at the check. "Derek, this is your future, your security." "My future is North Carolina and a job that pays $35,000 a year. I don't need security. I need to know that something good came from all this pain. Please take it." She folded the check carefully and put it in her purse. "Thank you." "Jasmine," Derek's voice caught, "I need you to know something. You saved my life, not just from Victoria's blackmail, but from becoming someone I would have hated. You fought for me when I didn't deserve it, and you're releasing me now with grace I definitely don't deserve. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of the kindness you showed me. I hope you find peace, Derek. Real peace." "You too." They hugged briefly, a goodbye between two people who had loved each other once, had survived trauma together, but couldn't stay in each other's lives. Then Derek walked to his car and drove away, and Jasmine watched him go with something that felt like relief. 1 year later, Jasmine stood at a podium in the Atlanta Convention Center, addressing 500 people at a domestic violence awareness conference. She had used Derek's $100,000 to help expand her father's domestic violence shelter and had become an advocate for survivors of coerced abuse, cases where the abuser themselves was being victimized. "My story is complicated," she told the audience. "I was abused by my husband for 12 weeks, but my husband was being blackmailed by someone seeking revenge on his family. Does that excuse what he did? No. Does that mean I had to stay with him? No. But it does mean that abuse is more complex than we sometimes acknowledge." She clicked to the next slide, showing statistics on coerced abuse and blackmail-motivated violence. "Some of you might wonder why I'm advocating for awareness about abusers who are victimized. Doesn't that take attention away from the real victims? My answer is, understanding complexity doesn't diminish the harm. I was harmed. I left. I divorced. I healed. But I also learned that sometimes people do terrible things because terrible things are being done to them. And if we want to stop violence, we need to address all the layers: the victims, the abusers, and the systems that allow manipulation to flourish." After the conference, a young woman approached her, Asian American, maybe 25, with nervous eyes. Ms. Mitchell," she corrected, using Jasmine's maiden name. "I wanted to thank you. My brother was blackmailed into hurting his wife. When she found out, she left him, and everyone said she should have. But your story helped me understand that he was suffering too. We got him into therapy, and he's trying to heal. Your advocacy made space for that." Jasmine hugged the young woman. "Tell your brother he deserves healing too, and tell his ex-wife she deserves peace. Both things can be true." That evening, Jasmine sat on her apartment balcony, looking out at the Atlanta skyline. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I saw your conference speech online. You're doing good work. I hope you found peace outside Derek, checking in from North Carolina, maintaining the respectful distance they'd agreed on. She typed back, "I have. I hope you have too." His response came quickly. "Getting there. Thank you for everything." She put her phone down and smiled. They would never be together again, They would probably never speak beyond occasional texts like this, but they had both survived Victoria's revenge, survived the trauma, and found paths forward. Jasmine thought about Victoria, serving year 2 of her 8-year sentence. She'd heard through her father that Victoria was teaching computer literacy classes to other inmates and had become a model prisoner. Everyone was trying to heal. Everyone was trying to do better. And Jasmine? She was finally free. Free from fear, free from trauma, free from the weight of Monday nights. She had lost her marriage, but she had gained herself. And that was the best revenge of all. Not destroying the people who hurt her, but becoming someone who couldn't be destroyed. The end. In both chapters complete, Jasmine chose herself, found healing, and became an advocate. Derek accepted consequences and started over. Victoria serves time but seeks redemption. Everyone's path diverged toward healing rather than continued destruction.